Hello everyone, and welcome to another GIS lecture video. And in this lecture video, what I want to cover is this idea of data classification. Right, data classification. And so when we talk about data classification in the construct of GIS, what we're really talking about is how we set up classes to generate things like choropleth maps, where we take a set of data and we break it down into a distinct number of classes. Right, so data classification in this context, again, is how to create classes for things like thematic maps. Right, data classification. We're classifying data into classes for thematic maps. And so what I want to do in this video, or this video series, is I want to talk about 5 ways we can approach this. Right, 5 ways to approach data classification, and we're going to talk about each one in its own video, going through sort of what it means conceptually and an example of how it might look to calculate it on a fake data set. But there are 5 ways to do this. The first is going to be called equal interval. Where the range of each class is the same. Oops. Now, I want to underline the word same here, because when I say same, what actually happens when we actually run these things is that they're not always perfectly identical. And we'll see that come up when we have issues with the number of features, especially, where it's going to try to do its best as it can to make things the same. So it should be approximately the same. But we say the same just because it's convenient and makes conceptual sense. Right, so equal interval, the range of each class is the same. Next, we have what's called quantile. And with quantile, the goal is to make it so that each class has the same number of features. Right, and again, we're using the term same here. Same as up here, right? It's going to do its best to be the same, but it's not always going to be perfect. Right. Third, we have this idea of standard deviation. Which is where the class divisions are based on the relationship to the standard deviation. Right, and so we'll see how this works. This one's a little bit different than the other ones. We'll talk about this idea of natural breaks. Natural breaks. And this is sort of the one that is the most similar to human perception. And this is where it looks for sort of natural places to put class breaks. And finally, we're going to talk about this idea of defined interval. Defined interval is really similar to equal interval, except equal interval is based on the range of the data set, and defined interval is an interval that you actually specify. So each class has a user defined range. Okay. And so the goal of the next couple of videos is going to be to dig into each one of these: equal interval, quantile, standard deviation, natural breaks, and defined interval in more detail so that you understand exactly how they're functioning under the hood. So hopefully this makes sense. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.